All right. Hello, Natick family. Sorry, I almost said Memorial because that's my home, but it's all of our elementary schools. So I'm going to kick it off with Karen.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome, kindergarten parents. This is such a unique situation because we were trying to figure out what we did last year, and we came up with this scenario, and it's just a little bit different than what we did. So you're going to hear from all of the elementary school principals tonight. We're going to tell you a little bit about Natick Public Schools and our kindergarten programs. We're going to invite you to ask questions in our chat box, and we're going to work to answer those questions. And hopefully you'll leave here with big picture information, and then you will be invited to attend a building-based meeting with all of us to hear more specifics about where your child will actually attend school here in Natick. So welcome. We'll start with introductions. I'm Karen Galani. I'm the principal over at Bennett Hemingway Elementary School. Am I introducing all of you, or do you want to say hi yourself?
We usually go alphabetically, so I guess maybe Aiden, you'd be next.
I'm next, yeah. My name is Aiden McCann. I'm the principal at Brown Elementary.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jordan Hoffman. I'm the principal at Johnson Elementary School.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Wasik. I'm the principal at Lilja Elementary.
And as my 6-year-old would say, we saved the best for last. I am Sue Balboni. I'm the principal of Memorial Elementary.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So are you presenting, Sue?
I am. I'm about to do that right now.
All right, great. So we have some slides to share with you to just support some of the things that we're going to talk about. And there you go. Those are lovely pictures of us from our last school pictures. Mr. Gatto, Ben Gatto, is our assistant principal here at Benham. You'll see us. Christy Arnold is over at Brown School. And then Jordan works with Jefferson Wood. And Stephanie, I'm not even sure who your assistant is.
We have 2 assistants to the principal at Lilja, Dr. Shelby Marsher and Mrs. Courtney Simoni.
Thank you. And then Sue, you work with Jack Barter, who's a 3rd grade teacher, correct?
Correct. And also Mr. Rice, who's our music teacher. He also serves in that role.
Great. Thanks. All right. So we're going to push out this presentation to all of you. We're not going to share this video with you right now, but there is a 3.5-minute kind of overview of Natick Public Schools that Dr. Nolan put together last year. So when you get this link, if that's something that you want to dig into, feel free to open it up and take a look, and it will show you the trajectory as your children are entering into our programs, what you can expect to see as they grow through our system. All right, so let's jump into it. So this is our profile of a Natick graduate, and it's something that we've worked on across all of our buildings in defining what's most important for the children that come to Natick and are educated in our public school system. And it takes a look at the work we do across all of our grades in order to support students in becoming productive citizens. You'll notice that the focus of our graduates is based on competencies, and that we look to build these competencies across all domains. So you're not going to see that it's just academics, but it's more of the mindsets behind what's going to lead to success in the work that they're doing here at school. We also focus on the fact that we need to be well-rounded humans, right? We need to be able to communicate productively. We need to be empathic towards each other and understand others' dispositions. We need to take initiative. We need to problem solve. We need to be resilient. Especially over the last 1.5 years, we've learned a lot about being resilient and being problem solvers, right? And that's something that we look to transfer to our children and really build those habits of mind with our kids. And a big part of that, like as you would have witnessed in the profile of a graduate, is that we take into account the social emotional learning that has to happen, especially with our youngest learners, because they need to learn how to be part of something bigger than themselves. And for some, this might be their first opportunity working with larger groups of people. And we look to build their social emotional learning skills and their ability to interact and respond to situations around them. And we do that through just organic interactions within the classroom, but then we also do it in a very purposeful way. We have an open circle social competency curriculum that we use with children to help directly teach some of the lessons that we want kids to collect and learn, and that program grows with them over the years as they get older, and it correlates really nicely. The targeted lessons that happen here correlates really nicely to our PBIS structures that we have in our schools. Every school has core values and mission statements. And, we look to have all of those resources support each other. Thanks. So the other piece that's important about kindergarten is we look to make sure that all of our children, we want to set habits of mind, right? We want our kids to realize that they are readers, they are writers, they are mathematicians, and they are problem solvers. We are not looking for children to be masters of the domain, of all those domains. We want them to be engaged learners, and we want them to realize that they can do hard things and that they're going to learn lots of new skills, and they're going to have lots of opportunity to practice. And sometimes it's going to be easy and sometimes it's going to be hard, and they'll have support along the way to make them successful. Another important part of kindergarten is that they have a special class each week. So each day they'll have a special class with either a music teacher, an art teacher, physical education teacher, or a librarian, where they're engaged in a different kind of learning and they're learning different content. So a lot of this will happen in library. They're listening to stories, they're checking out books, they're looking across genre, and they're learning how to collaborate in that setting. In music, they're singing, they're playing instruments, they're following patterns, they learn to improvise and compose music. And those skills, they set the foundation and build each year as they've gone through. In art, they explore different materials, they develop some fine motor skills, they work on their fine motor skills, they learn about influential artists and make connections to children's literature. And in physical education, we really look to help fine-tune those gross motor skills, those things that children really need to get coordinated and kind of systematic in the way that they use their bodies and play and learn together. Another very important part of the day, especially in kindergarten, is recess. So in our typical school year, when we come to school 6.5 hours, we have 2 recesses per day, and we typically have one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And our perspective on recess is kids are running around. It's a brain break. It's definitely an opportunity for them to shift gears and get out energy that they have kind of built up in the classroom through the other kind of cognitive demands that we put on them. But it's also a time for them to practice those social emotional learning skills. It's how to practice sharing. It's how to practice taking turns on the slide. It's how to practice a lot of the things that we're going to expect them to do in the class when we're doing collaborative projects and working together. So recess is a great opportunity for us to kind of dig in and help kids practice those things that they need to do.
Okay, so next up, we want to talk a little bit about what you need to do as parents to get your kindergartner ready for school. So first, it's always a big question that parents have and kids have about who is your child going to be for kindergarten. We go through a very careful and thoughtful placement process, and we start doing that the day that we do kindergarten screening, which you'll hear a little bit more about later on. And at that point, we start placing students, and feedback from parents is always welcome. We don't typically ask for requests for particular teachers, but we do want to know about your child and their learning style and what friends work well with them and what friends might be better for them to be separated from. But we do send letters out at the beginning of July, end of June, beginning of July, that lets you know who your child's teacher is going to be. And then from there, typically in a regular year, we have summer playdates that our PTO hosts, and they let you know, and this is not specific to classrooms, but it is for all of our kindergartners to have an opportunity to come together, get to know other kids who are also in kindergarten, as well as, you know, have some time on the school grounds, playing in the playground. Typically, kids get an opportunity to see what our building looks like inside. That typically happens on the day that we have kindergarten screenings, as well as the day that we have kindergarten orientation. Obviously, those things this year will not be happening live in person. So we may be hosting some days in the late summer for kids to come and tour the building. That is all still to be determined. During the first 6 weeks of school, it's important for you to know that we anticipate that all of our kindergartners are going to have a challenging time. They're going from a preschool environment where the majority of their day is play to a kindergarten environment where the majority of their day is academic in nature. That said, we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the year providing them with opportunities to get to know their classmates, to learn the routines and the expectations of school. But it's important as a parent to know that the first 6 weeks of school, you're going to see a lot of meltdowns. The kids get incredibly exhausted. We have them very, very busy. And so by the time they get home, they're going to fall apart. They're going to take it out on you. That is normal. That is typical. It's when we get beyond that 6-week point that we may start to be concerned if you're continuing to see a lot of meltdowns at home. And then we ask you to reach out to us, and we're going to work with you to make sure that your kids are doing okay. But they're tired, they're hungry. You know, they burn off a lot of energy, so they're going to be hungry. Don't be alarmed. This is all normal, and we're here to support you during all of that.
So Principal Balboni spoke a little bit about the screening days. I want to share a bit more with you. By law, we are required to screen incoming kindergartners before they join us so that we can gather information about how to best support their needs and be ready for them when they join us in August or September. So the kindergarten screening really is about a 15 or 20-minute screening where the students will meet with a teacher and be assessed on fine motor, gross motor, language skills, ability to follow directions. And that really just helps us again with that placement process so that we can kind of balance classes, but also look to what the needs might be of children before we put them in a class. This happens during the school day. This year, though, they have to happen virtually. So by now you may have received an invitation through Sign Up Genius to schedule an appointment at your home school for this 15-minute screening. Following the screening, you'll be informed about how your child has done. If your child hasn't passed the screening, it's nothing to be alarmed about at all. We have all kindergartners join us in the fall, and this would just prompt us to rescreen your child and really just notice what other interventions or supports they may need to be successful as they begin kindergarten. If you have a child who speaks a language other than English in the home, we will also be assessing their English proficiency. If this applies to your family, you will receive an email from Christy Arnold, who works closely with Principal McCann over at Brown School, and she also serves in the role of English Language Education Coordinator. And she would talk you through the process so that we can make sure that the language needs of your child are being met in the school day and that they're successful throughout the duration of their school day. So the first 2 days of school in Natick, we have done this for quite a while where we stagger the first 2 days for children. When I look at kindergartners in their first couple of days and I look at the kindergarten teachers, they are absolutely exhausted, both the teachers and the students, because it's like herding cats, bringing in a whole bunch of kindergartners into one class. So for that reason, we stagger the beginning of the year where we break the kindergarten classes into two groups. Group A begins on day 1, and then does not come to school on the second day. And then group B comes to school on the second day, but does not come on the first day. Both groups come together and join as one class on the third day of school. And this has really allowed students to learn routines of school, get to know one another, and really learn how to be in school with a smaller group of children. It's important to note that we don't have buses on the first 2 days. Bus passes are mailed home, and there's more information on our website about how to sign up to ride the bus. And we also don't have our early risers or our after school ASAP program on the first week of school either.
All right. Now I have the opportunity to share some important information that will help orient you to kindergarten and provide you with some logistical information as you get ready for school. And I want to start with school start times and attendance. In a typical year, and we're planning to be back to somewhat typical this coming fall, each of the elementary buildings have their own start times. So Benham begins at 8:15 a.m. Brown, Lilja, and Johnson all start at 8:30, and Memorial Elementary starts their day at 8:50. It's important to note that most students who are in kindergarten will be dismissed 5 minutes prior to the posted end of day time in order to allow them an individual dismissal. Memorial and Johnson will dismiss at the same time as the rest of the school. And I also want to note that it's important for all students to attend school regularly and be on time each day. Annual forms that you will hear much more about in the coming future. There are several important annual forms that need to be filled out by your family. And these forms will be found in Power School and are required for each child. Even if you have multiple children in the schools, you have to fill one out for each child. And more information on this will be sent to you via our summer newsletters. But there are forms on Google Apps and photo releases and video permission forms, extracurricular programs, FERPA rights, the school handbook, whole student health history, and of course, contact. Next slide. All right, and I want to let you know that we strongly believe in the importance of partnering with families on behalf of students. The majority of our communications from the school will come through a weekly Natick Public Schools district-wide e-blast called the NPS Engage, as you can see right there. This will contain important information from the district and from the superintendent. And as part of this blast, each school will have its own link to their website, as well as a weekly newsletter that will highlight important school-based information. In addition, I should note that the Natick Public Schools website has a plethora of information, as well as links to each of the individual schools. And each school's website will have all of the newsletters that we put out on a weekly basis. They will be archived, as well as other important school-based information.
So another important part of the day is dismissal, and we use Pickup Patrol in Natick. Pickup Patrol is an online system for letting us know how your child will be dismissed each day. The system also lets us know if your child be late, dismissed early, or absent for the day, and you'll receive more information on Pickup Patrol in August with instructions on how to sign up and how to develop your child's dismissal plan. Next slide. If your child is planning to take the bus, you'll want to sign up for the bus on Natick's website through our transportation office links. The bus is available regardless of how far you live from each school. And please note that the bus is seen as an extension of the school day in terms of behavior, and that while this year is a little bit different with all seats currently assigned, kindergarten students will always sit up front even in a more typical year, which we're again hoping for next fall. A healthy breakfast and lunch are offered to students each day in our cafeterias, and students are encouraged to bring their own snacks from home. We, of course, are sure to accommodate students with allergies in collaboration with our school nurses. If you would like your child to buy breakfast or lunch, you can set that up through a My School Bucks account. Information on how to set up the account will be sent home on the first day of school. And we include detailed instructions as well as your student's identification number, which will be needed for this sign up as well as some other times during their duration with Natick Public Schools. And our school menus can be found on Natick's website, as well as you can find information there on applying for free and reduced lunch as well. So on behalf of all of the elementary schools, we want to thank you for attending this presentation and invite you to your building specific orientations on the dates shown. So you can see there will be building specific orientations on Tuesday, May 18th for Benham and Brown, Wednesday the 19th for Memorial, and then on the 20th for Johnson and Lilja. And you'll receive an email from your school prior to those dates, and there will be time during those presentations to ask more school-specific questions. But at this time, we invite families to ask any general kindergarten questions in the chat.
Don't be shy. There is one question, Sue. Do you want to throw that up there from Esther Cohen? Thanks for adding. Talking about what we expect regarding the pandemic, we are not entirely sure what to expect. We hope that we're moving back towards something more aligned with normal pre-2021 school year. And that's our goal and our hope. And we're getting closer to that each day with our full return to school. But we still need to wait and see what our metrics are, how the Board of Health guides us, how our state guides us through the Department of Education. But we're all hopeful that it's going to feel pretty normal.
I'm starting to wonder if Esther's the only person watching us.
We have 190 people watching us, so hopefully someone else will come up with a question. Otherwise, we just did a remarkable job in giving them all the information they needed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hi, Ellie. Yeah, thanks. The K evaluation. So the orientation, we are not hosting. We are actually still under a directive to not host volunteers and not have people that don't attend our schools in our buildings. And that's why we're doing the orientations virtually. It was guidance that we received from Board of Health and in collaboration with them to try to make a plan for how to do this for this school year.
I can take that next one.
Yeah.
We haven't received virtual screening invite yet. Do we reach out to assigned school admin? Nope, you don't need to do that. Those will be coming shortly. It could be that the school sent it out today, could be tomorrow, could be Monday morning, but those will be coming in the next few days and you'll see an opportunity to sign up. So no need to reach out. Those will be going out shortly.
Great. Jen. Hi, Jen. Jen's little kiddo is coming to me. So what is the nut policy around kindergartners? Can my child bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to lunch? So just as information for everyone, we do not have any children not be allowed to bring a nut food to school for lunch. Children who have a nut allergy, we work with the nurses and the parents to either provide them with a separate seating, but we also recognize that many children may only eat peanut butter for lunch. So that's okay. It's just snacks in the classroom that we really try to prevent any allergy transmission. So your child can bring a nut food for lunch, but not for snack.
So I'm happy to take this one. Yeah, we're not going to be able to host individual meetings. I know, I'm not sure if every building has done this, but I know Bennett Hemingway has always kind of pulled parents in during the orientation while their children are working with a teacher. But since you're not going to be on campus, it's not going to work out that way. But we do welcome information from parents. If your children are connected with kids, been in preschool with kids, welcome those emails to help us with placement. This is the crew of children that we know least. So we look to you as their experts to kind of share your information. So we'll welcome that information from you. It just won't be in a sit down the way that maybe it's happened historically.
I can take this one. So the building-based orientation is targeted toward parents. However, it will be done on a YouTube StreamYard like tonight is. So if children want to sit and listen, they absolutely can, but our targeted audience is the grown-ups for that one.
All right. On this one, is there a cost for the bus? There is a cost for the bus. It all goes through our transportation department. I don't know for sure what the actual bus cost is. And I do believe it may be based on distance from the building. So if you are beyond 2 miles from the building, then you would need, then that would be at no cost to you, but within 2 miles of the building, that would be something you would need to pay for. And that is all through our transportation office, and everything is online, and you can find all of that information by going to our website. I'll leave that up to those who have programs in their buildings.
Mm-hmm. So if your child is currently on an IEP, individualized education plan, there'll be a meeting to talk about his transition that would cover placement, services, and the level of support that your learner will need. So you should plan to hear from either the individual building, or if your child's currently enrolled at the preschool, we coordinate with the preschool and attend any meetings that you have scheduled for them for the springtime. So I hope that answered your question.
Right. Would you elaborate more about what we can expect from the school tour? So I think this was something I probably mentioned. This is still something that we're not sure will happen. It's all based on what the Board of Health will allow us to do. If we are able to welcome children in for a tour prior to the beginning of the school year, then we would let parents know and have you come in, and in small groups, we would tour you around the building and show those children kindergarten classrooms. We would show them some of the other important locations in the building that they would be heading to, whether it be playgrounds, the art room, the library, the gym, the cafeteria, those kinds of spaces that they would be frequenting often. But again, we're still waiting for guidance from the Board of Health. Everything that we do has to be approved by them. So all of that happens through their office.
So if I could just jump in, if we're not able to give live tours of the building, one of the things we did last year was send home videos or visuals so that kids could see what their classroom space would look like, what the bathrooms might look like, so that they would feel a little bit more comfortable coming into the building on the first day and have a general sense, even though they hadn't visited yet in person. So hopefully we'll be able to host live tours, but if we can't, we will still provide you with some visuals.
Yeah. Thank you. Case sizes. Are the class sizes larger than normal due to the pandemic? We are very careful about how many children we put into a classroom, and we do have a limit based on our teacher contract. There's a potential that we may have more children attending because of the pandemic, because maybe they deferred a year. But we're very careful about our numbers, and we want to make sure that all of our children have the best possible experience, and that our numbers are as appropriate as they possibly can be. And it's important also to know that we do have tutors that work in our kindergarten classrooms, and there is a tutor assigned to every single kindergarten classroom. So there's typically 2 adults in every classroom for the bulk of the day in order to decrease our student to teacher ratio.
Can I just add to that? I had the experience to look at our enrollment for the fall, and by no means are we done enrolling children, but our class sizes right now look to hover between 18 to 22, which is exactly where we'd hope them to be.
Yep, agreed at my building as well.
So in terms of our after-school program, ASAP, Megan Caprenzi oversees the ASAP program across all schools, and you would hear directly from Megan Caprenzi and our ASAP staff.
All right. How many K classrooms are there district-wide, and how does that break down by school? There isn't a specific number. Yeah, there isn't a specific number by building just to say each building has a certain number. It's really based on our enrollment numbers. So Karen just indicated she has 5 based on her enrollment. Memorial will have 4. Jordan, I anticipate based on your numbers, you'll have 2. Aiden and Stephanie. Aiden will have 5 and Stephanie will have 4. So it's really dependent on the number of students that we have enrolling. So we wouldn't say that if we have 100 kids, we're going to only have 3 classrooms just because that's what we've typically had. It is truly based on enrollment numbers. Class size for Benham, as she said, 18 to 22. Share the data of the first day of school. We cannot share that information at this point because, in all honesty, we don't know it. Our school committee votes on that this month, the month of April. We wait until April in order to ensure that we have hit all of our snow days and are able to not only identify the schedule for next year, but identify the last day of school for this year. So it all happens at the same time. So we should know shortly when our first day of school is.
Can I just share, though, our pattern?
Yes.
Don't anticipate that it's going to change, but our pattern for start of school is usually the Wednesday before Labor Day.
Homework policy for kindergarten.
I'll jump in. So as I think Karen was sharing very early, that the demands of kindergarten are significant. There's a big leap. So we can expect that kindergartners will be coming home tired. What we really look for parents to do is to just really develop a culture of reading at home with kids. Obviously, most kindergartners are not yet reading, but really enjoy being read too. So if you can work that into the bedtime routine, I think that's really helpful for all students, not just kindergartners. So it's strongly encouraged that kids are reading or being read to nightly. And then if there's ways to work in, math into baking or into, drawing pictures with geometric shapes and things that are very natural and not necessarily formal homework, we encourage that as well. But there isn't formal homework in kindergarten. Sometimes there are some projects that teachers will ask to have something sent in, but not independent homework for children.
Will there be an after-school program at Brown Elementary? Yes, we currently have an after-school program with ASAP, and we plan to continue that program. It is a vibrant, wonderful, happy program. So that is our plan.
All right, kindergartners get hungry, and we like to feed them. So they usually have a morning break, a morning snack. They have lunch in the middle of the day, and that's usually it. I don't know that any buildings have an afternoon snack. They kind of get into the routine, just as they get used to the school day. We recommend a good hearty breakfast, mid-morning snack, and then they have lunch. And then by the time lunch is over and they do their afternoon recess and have their afternoon coursework, it's time to go home. And then they'll want a snack as soon as they get home.
Oops, sorry. Do I need to sign up now for the kindergarten evaluation? So that's the kindergarten screening, and each building does their own schedule. I know that my building, my administrative assistant, Mara Flynn, and I put our schedule together, and it will be going out in an email tomorrow to all of our kindergarten families, along with a recording of tonight's session for any parent who missed it. So every building is doing something a little bit different in terms of when they're sending it out, but it will be in the next few days, and you will receive an invitation to sign up for that. So there's nothing for you to do until you receive that invitation through a Sign Up Genius.
And Ellie, I know you're a Benham parent, so I'll just let you know ours is going out next week. So you can look for it next week. It will come to your email and you just pick the time that works for you.
Can children be dropped off in the morning and take the bus home after school? Absolutely. You'll see in the yearly forms that I talked about earlier, there is a system that we use for attendance and dismissal called Pup Patrol. And in that system, you can indicate that you will make a change for how your child might be going home. So does it have to be before a certain time, folks? I think it's noon, correct?
Every building has a different time based on their dismissal time.
Yep. But you can go ahead and indicate that, yes, my child came in on the bus and it's going to be a pickup in the afternoon, and that is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and in all honesty, we don't keep track of how your child comes to school as long as they come to school. That's the most important thing to us. So as long as they're walking in that door on their own 2 little feet, that's the priority for us. But how they go home is important to us because we want to make sure that your children are safe and accounted for. So we ask that if anything's going to change, that you do update that, and we'll give you more information later in the summer. Another question about class sizes. Again, we do not increase class sizes just because we were in a pandemic and some children were held back. We base our class sizes on what's most appropriate for children's learning.
I'll take that one. So typically the answer would probably be no, that we probably don't meet up with the teachers during arrival as they're getting ready to greet the kids and get their day started. And dismissal, they're often running off to meetings at the end of the school day. However, our kindergarten teachers are excellent about reaching out, staying connected to you. So if you have a concern, we urge you to email the teacher. If you need to set up a meeting, you can absolutely do that. We also hold a back to school night or a curriculum night early on in the year in September. So that's a great opportunity to meet the teacher and learn about what kind of things you can expect over the course of the year. Did we miss a couple?
So if you have concerns about your child's transition, someone you can talk to. So we all have guidance counselors that are on hand to help to facilitate transition if there's something that you really want us to know about your learner so that we can plan and have a successful strategy so they have a good start. We definitely want to know about that. So I would recommend reaching out to your building because if you call the front office, they can connect you to the guidance counselors. That's probably the easiest way to do it, just to call your homeschool's front office and they can get you to the guidance counselor and we can build a plan.
Great. Yes, Jordan, thank you. I did miss a few. So why are the school start and end times different? We do that because of busing. We only have a certain number of buses that are available to us at the district. And this year was a huge challenge, but we also had fewer students who were actually riding the bus. So for example, typically Memorial has 8 buses. This year we had 6. And now that we've all come back together, those buses are very, very full. But in order to meet what's available through the transportation, through the bus company, we have to have staggered start and end times. Next question is about mandate for teachers and staff to be vaccinated. We're not allowed to mandate that. It violates their rights as a human being. So while we can encourage it and we can support them in whatever time they need in order to get that done, we cannot mandate that. The next question talks about school counselors or school psychologists. And Karen, you mentioned that briefly. We do have a school counselor and a school psychologist in every building. Just to let you know the difference, typically our school psychologists are the ones who service our students who are on IEPs, individualized education programs. And then our school counselors are our general support for all students. How limited is space in the ASAP program? We were signed up for the lottery, but trying to gauge how likely it is that we would get a spot.
ASAP is very competitive.
Mhm.
And it's competitive, I think, at all of our buildings. I think it depends on probably what building you're in, how likely or how close to the top of the space, the top of the line you are. But that's a great question for Megan Caprenzi, who runs our ASAP program. She could probably gauge it for you and let you know where you are on the list so that you know how aggressively to look into other options.
Do kinder classes have teaching assistants and aides assigned for additional support? Yes. Each of the kindergarten classrooms have a staff member called a KEEP. That's a kindergarten early intervention program staff person. So what that person does is they are there for a portion of the day. It's usually the first half of the day. And that person is there to provide additional support, especially in the area of reading, but they do some work in the area of math, to make sure that students are at benchmark and meeting benchmarks that we want them to meet at that particular point in the year. So there is a person there for a portion of the day, yes.
I can jump in. Is the school hour the same every day, or do kindergartners have some half days? Generally speaking, our kindergarten days are the same as grades 1 through 4. The district does typically have some half day schedules, and kindergarten would follow those the same as their 1 through 4 counterparts. And then the only day that's slightly different is a screening day in the spring. But by and large, kindergarten schedules are the same as the rest of their elementary peers.
Yeah, so this comes back to like a virtual tour if we can't do a physical tour. Our hope is that we'll be able to do a physical tour before school starts with all of our incoming K students. It was really hard this year having kids join us without having stepped foot in the building. So we would look to have that happen at the end of the summer. And if it doesn't, then we will absolutely put together like a tour of the classrooms, a tour of the cafeteria, a tour of the spaces that they'll travel to. But our hope is that it's going to be live and in person.
I think that answers that next question as well.
Do all kids have time to eat breakfast at school? It is offered in the cafeteria. Yes, all 5 of our schools offer breakfast prior to the start of the school day, and any kid can attend breakfast without any sign up in advance. And we have a number of different offerings for kids to eat before school. Some of our programs are more well attended than others, but it's available to all students, and there's plenty of time for them to eat prior to the start of the day.
All right, Jen, when should we reach out if we don't hear from you about a kindergarten screening sign up? So as we said before, every building is a little bit different. Jen, you should receive an email from either myself or from Mara Flynn, who is my administrative assistant, tomorrow, so that you can sign up for a screening at Memorial. But the other buildings are within the next week or so. So if you don't hear by, April break, then you should reach out and just ask for clarity. Are the bathrooms in K off the classrooms or down a hallway further away? What happens if a child needs assistance in the bathroom? So every building is a little bit different. I can tell you that one of my classrooms actually has bathrooms within the classroom. 2 of my classrooms have bathrooms immediately outside the doors that are shared. And then I have a 4th kindergarten classroom that's right around the corner. So they're all within in the same vicinity. And I think the other schools are pretty similar to that. If a child needs assistance in the bathroom, our teachers do not provide assistance. It's impossible when they have 18 to 22 children in the classroom to be able to walk out of the classroom and leave the other students unattended. So that's a great point, that we want all of our children to be able to be independent in their toileting skills. That said, that there are exceptions to every situation. And if that's the case, then we ask that you reach out to the nurse in advance so that you can make a plan with them in how we're going to handle that situation for your child. We're not saying that we won't accept them or we won't support them, but it is not the classroom teacher's responsibility or ability to be able to manage that, but we will find a way to support your child through that situation.
And to add just one little caveat to that, one of the things that we ask is that if you think about the ease of the clothing that the children wear, it's really helpful when students are able to wear something that has a belt or a button zipper that they're able to make use of. So if they have like a fancy pair of pants for the first day of school and it is really hard for them to open those pants or make that belt work, we encourage you to go with their regular set of pants that they can use and can get in and out of.
And along those lines, we encourage all of our kindergarten families to send in an extra set of clothes, because without fail, we always have kids who have accidents, and the nurse takes care of them when that happens, and it's very discreet, and we protect their privacy, and it's something that we don't blink twice about. It's fine when that happens. We'll take care of them, but it is helpful if they have an extra set of clothes in their backpack.
Yeah, and beyond that, kids they spill their milk, they spill their water bottle, they fall in a puddle. Like, if for them to be uncomfortable in wet, muddy clothes because they spilled their water or they fell in a puddle, that's not something that we want for our kids. And while we do have backups and spares in the nurse's office, if they have their own clothes, they're always much more comfortable. All right, kindergarten curriculum.
I'm wondering if this is a better question to hold off on, because I know at our building-based specific, even though our curriculum is consistent district-wide, our kindergarten teachers join us for the building-based. Not all. Sometimes kindergarten teachers join us for the building-based, and we do dig into the curriculum pretty deeply that night. So I think maybe we table this one for tonight, but know that we are going to address it.
Yeah, so this is asking about the playground. So Bennett Hemingway's playground out back is for children ages 5 through age 12. There used to be a preschool playground because years ago, our preschool for Natick was housed in this building. And then we got too big and the preschool moved to the high school. So all of our kindergarten children use the playground, the play structure out back, and it's meant to be there for them. There's no plan to rebuild the small one that used to be out at the front of the building.
And every building is a little bit different. So Memorial does have a kindergarten playground that is right off of our kindergarten wing. But typically that is used once a day. And as we mentioned earlier, we do 2 recess times a day. And so our first one is typically on the smaller playground right outside the kindergarten wing. And the second one is on the bigger playground. That doesn't typically happen at the start of the year because we want to make sure that, because it's not fenced in, that all of our children are going to stay within the confines of our playground area. But typically we do have them participate in recess on the larger playground. I think we answered this about visiting classrooms next month. That isn't going to happen, but we do hope to have some sort of opportunity for them to visit sometime in the summer.
We spoke about this one as well, and we said, please reach out to your school so that you could get in touch with your school psychologist or counselor ahead of time. Yes.
No naps in kindergarten anymore. We kind of did away with it. I think it was probably 5-8 years ago because none of the children were napping. We were trying to have them nap. It was part of a routine that we had, and nobody was taking us up on it. So they do have quiet book time. Usually after that second recess or after lunch, they have some time where they go through their independent book boxes. They have a time to just kind of sit and relax with books. And occasionally at the beginning of the year, 1 or 2 might fall asleep, but it's not it's not the nap of days gone past.
I can share that.
Yeah.
Will the pool testing initiative continue through the beginning of the school year, recognizing the landscape is evolving but curious? You said it best. I think the landscape is kind of evolving and changing. So we are not certain. However, we have talked as a district about continuing that. And while it might look slightly different, I think my current understanding and plan would be that it will be an initiative that will continue in some way, shape, or form, likely.
This is a good question. Do we usually share class lists? I'm having a hard time remembering. I think that we do.
I think we only do if parents opt in to the directory that usually our PTO set up, because we can't share contact information for children for legal reasons.
Yeah, and that doesn't typically happen prior to the start of the school year because of when the annual forms are required to be done.
Right.
That said, if you reached out, if you reached out to your school and said, my kiddo is, we're really concerned about their transition to school and we don't know that they have any friends, we could reach out to other families. That said, we're not typically in the building during the summer, but there is an opportunity to potentially reach out to those families and ask if they're willing to have their information shared with you. Of course, I'm going to share a thank you. So thank you very much for all your effort to make our kids happy at school. Do we still have a plan to have RLA in kindergarten for 21-22 school year? I'll leave that to our RLA elementary principal.
So RLA stands for Remote Learning Academy. It's something we put in place this year to address the needs of our more medically fragile students and families. And it's been a great success this year. However, we don't know the plan for it next year just yet. We have to wait and see what the commissioner says. Hoping that RLA may continue into our next school year, but nothing is certain yet. I would make sure to read Dr. Nolan's NPS Engage emails, as she will give us updates as they become available.
We're going to take this one. My oldest had a really tough time with first drop-off and first drop-offs for the first week or so of school. How will that be handled? Are you able to touch kids if COVID is an issue? I actually was anticipating that this was going to be a bigger issue at the beginning of this year because we can't put our hands on children. Of course, in a situation where a student is absolutely melting, of course we're going to go over and we're not going to not be near that student. But we do have to follow our health and safety protocols. So some of the things that we did to help that out was we put out a lot of information ahead of time so that students could see the classroom, as we've already shared. I know that a couple of schools even filmed like what drop-off will look like. So at Brown, we did a video of driving down the driveway, where cars would park, what door students would go in. We labeled the door with a big picture of red balloons. You're going to be going in the red balloon door. And all of those different pieces kind of help alleviate a little bit of the anxiety of doing something new. We even at Brown made sure that the camera went through the door and into the building so students could see you're going to turn left, or you're going to turn right, and you're going to see an adult right here standing here and telling you where to go. We also encouraged families to consider doing a little dry run ahead of time so that students could see the building, students could see the driveway, students could see what drop-off would look like, where they'd be getting out of the car. And we did have a couple of instances where kids had a hard time in the building, and we do go up to them and we do talk to them. Our kindergarten teachers are extremely talented at making sure that students are well taken care of. And they do a beautiful job. So for students who are having a really tough time, I can come by and I can take the class. Some other staff member can take the class and talk to the class, while that kindergarten teacher can go over and talk with that student privately and help them out. So there are staff available, and there's a lot that we do ahead of time to make sure that students are comfortable. Great question.
Thanks, Aiden. And I have to say, in response to one of the questions that came up earlier, my administrative assistant and I talk about her often. Mara Flynn is phenomenal, but she's listening tonight and just shared with me that the school committee actually did vote on our calendar for next school year, and we never got the email, so that's fabulous. So the very first day of school is scheduled to be Thursday, September 2nd. The Wednesday, which is typically the first day for students, is actually a staff professional development day. So the very first day of school will be Thursday the 2nd for our students. Oh, thank you, Carrie. How is bullying monitored or addressed for that age group? Wow. So we do find that at the kindergarten level, there isn't a whole lot of targeted bullying. So bullying has to be targeted. It has to be multiple incidences. It has to be a differential in power. So it doesn't, it at the kindergarten level, while it does happen, it's not frequent, but we use any sort of situation of conflict between children as a learning opportunity, right? They're young people, they're learning how to interact with each other, they're learning how to be friends, they're learning how to have conflict. And so we use that as an opportunity to learn versus create a situation of constant discipline. That said, if there is a situation, and I can speak personally that I have had situations where there have been, bullying situations at the kindergarten level, and we do a lot of work around counseling those kids, digging deep into understanding why this happened, and helping coach those kids through the situation, and then documenting it so that we can ensure that we're addressing it and making sure that it doesn't continue to happen.
What time is dismissal on early release days? So that varies a little bit by school because our start times also vary a little bit by school, but that all can be found on our website. I know at Johnson in the past it's been 12:15, and I think that is the same for Brown and Lilja, but I know it's a little bit earlier at Benham and a little bit later at Memorial.
How pumped are you for the upcoming school year? In all honesty, we are super pumped, but at the same time, we are super pumped to have all of our kids back, and that just happened Monday. So we are so focused on the present right now. We want to make sure that the kids that we have in front of us are having the best possible experience that they can, given the situation that we've experienced all year. So we are pumped to have our kids back. We're pumped to have a more typical year, but we are also so pumped to have our kids with us right now.
I'm going to take that one because Mr. Dolan is mine. He's at my school. Hi, Mr. Dolan. Pickup procedure with K and siblings not dismissed at the same time. It's about a 5-minute differential. So students who are picked up in kindergarten, the other sibling can come out and then be picked up shortly thereafter. So you don't have to leave and come back. That's very easily done.
I can take this. Are there assigned cubbies to leave things in at school, like spare clothes? Well, I'm sure it might look a little bit different across buildings. I think the majority of us are shaking our heads yes, that students would have a space to keep a spare set of clothes like we talked about, and just other personal items, backpacks, winter gear.
Thank you. In my experience, the PTO sends out the directory about mid-year. It works best to ask your kid or who's in their class. Absolutely. It is helpful to talk to your child. And then reach out to your classroom teacher and say, hey, my kid's been talking about Aiden McCann, and we'd really love to set up a play date with him. Could you facilitate getting the contact information? And then that way, his teacher could get that information and send it to you if the parents feel comfortable.
I'll jump in here. I know this year was just different, right? And so pre-K might have had modified schedules for kids, but our school day is it's standardized for all of our children, kindergarten through 4th grade. And so it might take some children a little bit longer to build stamina, but we still work with them to get to that point where they can engage in the full day of school from 8, well, whatever your building is. For us, it's 8:15 to 2:41. So we don't really adjust the length of day for kindergartners.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Yes, we do what we do because we absolutely love what we do. And just seeing the smile on the kids' faces is enough for us. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Meeting over the summer. Yes, Rebecca, thank you. There's usually a Facebook group for each school. Check Natick Moms Group. Absolutely. And on that note about Natick Moms Group, as a mom myself, I'm not in Natick. I'm not part of Natick Moms Group, but I would highly recommend that if you have a question or a concern, that you reach out directly to the school and ask those questions. It's going to get you the direct answer versus asking the question on Natick Moms and maybe not getting the accurate information. So just my 2 cents as a parent and as an administrator in the district. When will we know which day our kindergarten is first day, A versus B? So when we send the letter at the very beginning of July with your classroom teacher, we will tell you which day it is. It's typically based on alphabet. The first half is day A and the second half is day B. But those of you who are in the middle of the alphabet, you'll need to wait to get that letter to find out how we can split that class. Yes, Jessica, do the K teachers have any contact with the Natick preschool? We are very close with Mary Beth Kincaid, the principal of the preschool. We actually meet with her weekly. Every Friday, we have a meeting with the 5 of us as well as Mary Beth, and we talk about all issues that impact pre-K through grade 4. We also meet weekly with the entire district of principals to talk about issues. And then we also dig in deeply at the transition time around each individual child. So if there are particular issues that you're concerned about, we would suggest that you reach out directly to us. Oh, we can't wait to see her too. Oh, thank you for sharing.
I can take this one. And they're asking, during the course of a normal school year, how many events are there where parents are encouraged or expected to attend? So we do hold our curriculum night in September, and that is one that is an important one to attend, as you'll get the whole lay of the land and get to know your child's teacher. Parent-teacher conferences are important. They're held in the fall and then again in the spring. This year we had to do them virtually, and I think we may probably provide a virtual option moving forward, as they've been pretty successful and I think has enabled a lot of parents to attend who maybe otherwise weren't able to. But then from there, I think the events that occur at our buildings are, they vary a little bit by building and by grade level. But we do encourage families to be mystery readers. Again, this year that's been done virtually. Hopefully at some point we can have parents or nannies or uncles or aunts into the building to read aloud. But at our building-based orientations, you'll learn a little bit more about what you can expect in kindergarten.
All right. What do you do about children who like to hug others? Oh, we love to hug our kids and we love our kids to hug each other, but we can't do that right now. So we work very carefully about understanding what space looks like and what's appropriate in the classroom. And our kindergarten teachers are fabulous about demonstrating that and holding kids to that expectation and understanding.
I'll take this. So our K students, I think in many of our buildings have buddies with older classes, either 3rd or 4th graders in our buildings, where they actually collaborate on certain projects and they read stories with each other and engage with each other, so that there's the oldest kids in the school help support our youngest learners as they kind of grow into their skins as students. They also have interaction, like they're going to come across the 1st graders and 2nd graders and 3rd graders in the hallways, just because we have natural transitions. They're going to find their older siblings and they're going to look to wave and say hi and search each other out. Sometimes we partner them up if there's something going on where it's a benefit for a learner to take on that kind of leadership role with kindergartners. So yes. And it's usually very deliberate and intentional, the way that we have them collaborate with each other.
There's a question about school supplies. We actually provide all school supplies to our students. If there are specific things that we think your child needs, we will let you know. For the most part, it's sending them with a snack, a lunchbox, a change of clothes, a backpack, so that they can bring in their things to and from school. But in terms of anything that they need at school, we provide them with that. So crayons, pencils, all of that we provide. Oh, you're welcome. We can't wait for your daughter to join us. Lilja, parent pickup, will it be like pre-COVID times or like current?
Sure. I think that we can answer that fully in our school-specific presentation, but largely speaking, our dismissal procedures look fairly similar this year, but again, we can answer that during our school-specific.
Thank you. Oh, Jen, we can't wait to meet Mira either. So exciting. And Jen is actually a staff member in Natick Public Schools, so we're excited. Are we able to monitor if children eat and drink sufficient water throughout the day?
I can take that. So, our lunch monitors are excellent. They're walking around the lunchroom in a typical year, encouraging kids to eat because some can get distracted easily. We don't force kids to eat for a number of reasons. They may not be hungry, but we do ask that they take home whatever is uneaten so that you can have a sense of what they are actually taking in during the day, and possibly change up the lunch options if it's something they don't care for, or it's maybe hard to open, although the lunch monitors are there to help open things as well. And we actually put extra staff on in those first few days to kind of show kids the ropes and help them make sure that they're getting what they need. But there's lots of opportunities for water breaks throughout the day. We encourage you to send in a water bottle with your child so that we can have them refill it as they need to at our bubblers throughout the day. And again, during snack time, I think our classroom teachers are pretty good about making sure kids at least have an opportunity and are encouraged to eat during that time.
Thanks, Jordan. Along those lines, I know one of the things that my kindergarten teachers always say, and that will come up at our building specific day, is at this point in time, start allowing your child to struggle a little bit and to start taking responsibility for being able to open their own yogurt, their own applesauce, their own Rice Krispie treat, their, granola bar, whatever it might be that you're sending with them. Make sure that they know how to open it. And I say that because while our teachers are always willing to help, if they have 20 children who can't open their snack item, it means that every child is waiting until a grown-up can get to them. And we want our kids to be independent in being able to manage those things. A and B and what it means starting on September 2nd. So half the group will come on A, September 2nd, half the group will come on September 3rd, and that information will come in the letter that we send in July.
And then all students will start the following Tuesday after Labor Day. So half, everyone's all together the following week.
Yeah, sending an extra set of clothes. So all of that information will come directly from your classroom teacher. You can expect to get a letter just before the start of the school year. Typically, we do suggest that they put it in their backpack, and sometimes it just stays in their backpack and goes back and forth. Some classroom teachers collect those items and hold them in a spot in the classroom, and then when the seasons change, they send them home and say, please send back a change of clothes that are more weather appropriate. So that will come specifically from the classroom teachers. Backpack sizes. You want something that the kid can carry.
Your individual child. I think every child is different in terms of their height and what they like. So whatever works for them.
Perfect. Will there be a list of things that our kid needs to bring? So the classroom teacher will send you a letter introducing themselves and what your child should bring. But again, supplies, all of those things we provide. The things that we would recommend include change of clothes, a water bottle, a snack, a lunchbox, that kind of thing. mask mandate. So right now, given our current times, every child in the building, including our preschoolers. So I know there's a preschool at the high school, but Stephanie and I at Lilja and at Memorial, we also have preschool classrooms. Those students are expected to wear a mask at all times. That's a directive from our district. So right now, every student in the building is required to wear a mask, except during specific times for mask and snack breaks. So we don't know what the beginning of next year will look like, and that information will be shared with you when we do know it.
I'll just add a little note there, Sue, that I think all 5 of us were probably wondering if that was going to be a larger issue at the beginning of this year. And we were wondering, are students just going to go ahead and take those masks off? How many conversations will we need to have with students about the importance of that? It really didn't turn out to be an issue. I did not have one conversation with a student. I'm sure there were probably some in buildings across the district, but we didn't have any conversations with students about needing to keep it on. And I think it was just really a minimum number of kids across the district that might have been an issue.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a matter of tapping your nose and the kid pulls their mask back up. The kids get it. It's what they don't know any different. So they've just adjusted to it. Jordan, did you want to add to that?
I was going to say exactly what Aiden said, is that we expected it to be a challenge, and it really wasn't. I think the kids have adjusted, have just gone with it, and we've been really pleased at their ability to keep their masks on.
Yeah, not to be redundant, but I do want to say I think the biggest conversations we've had are to hide your nose and sometimes just a little mask pull up. And kind of back to the question around our huggers, kindergartners especially have been fantastic about their airplane arms. And staying 6 feet apart, and then having their mouths and nose. They've been rock stars.
All right. So children expect to be 3 feet apart in kindergarten. Well, at the moment, yes. But we're still waiting we still have 5 months before our kids join us in the fall. So we're still waiting for what the Board of Health is going to tell us about what that needs to look like. So. Sorry. Okay, so requesting the same teacher as my older kids. So when you send us a letter, and we welcome you to send us letters, we ask that you tell us, what style works best for your child. Which kids does your child work best with based on their preschool experience? Which kids maybe might not be the best fit? We in Natick hire some of the best, and all of our teachers are phenomenal. Asking us to place your child with a specific teacher, if we had 50 people coming into our school who asked for the same teacher, obviously that can't happen. We feel our teachers wouldn't be here if we didn't think they were the best of the best. So if you want to tell us what learning style your child has, we welcome that. But specifically asking for a teacher, it may not happen. And while you may ask for it, it's not a guarantee that it can happen. Does anybody want to add to that?
No, I think it's just important that the class placement process is a team process across all of our buildings, where the teachers that have done the orientation with your children, the people that have collected information, if you've called in and shared and spoken to our guidance counselor, we really do take a team approach. So I will just ask that you trust us. And as we get to know your kids better and better over the course of the years, hopefully you'll see the evidence in that we really get to know your kids and make the best choices for them.
Once a kid approved COVID vaccines available, do you anticipate students will be required to get it? Well, no, we can't require and mandate that any child get a vaccine. In fact, even with typical vaccines, we can't mandate it. We say the kids need to have it, but if there are religious reasons or other reasons why a child can't get it, we can't mandate it. Just like the state had tried to require that the flu shot happen for every child, it really is not something that can be mandated. It's a violation of their rights and your rights as a parent. We can recommend it, and we think that it could help keep your kids safe, but it's also a personal choice. And just like all of our staff have the personal choice to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated, it's your personal choice.
I think that wraps up our questions for tonight.
It does.
I know.
Yeah.
Some good questions in there. And I look forward to being able to answer more building-based specific questions
Later in May, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're all invited to join our e-blasts now. If you want to be in the know of what's happening in our buildings, go to natickps.org. You can sign up for the newsletter. You pick the schools that you want to hear from. And then every Friday, NPS Engage gets sent out, as Aiden talked about it earlier. And then you'll get the newsletter attached there. So you'll have information about upcoming kindergarten orientation. If there's play date, like whatever's happening, it will show up there. So it's good to be in the know, and it's good to actually click it open and read it. I know it's a lot. People are busy, but that's where you're going to find some of the information that people are looking for. And are we just going to wrap up?
I think so.
Yeah, on behalf of all of us, we just wanted to thank you for joining us, and we all look forward to seeing you at the building-based orientations and answering more of your questions. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.